Hello folks, this is Sula speaking. You're listening to another video for Teamfight Tactics. This is taken from a double up game I'm playing together with Headwinder. And in this game we're going to look at another Gunners team composition. This time Gunners and their inability to interact properly with the social distancing augment, but that's going to come along a little bit later on. Now I put a live commentary video from one of our Friday group games featuring Gunners, but I did want to do kind of a proper commentary video for a Gunners team composition. This video should get posted right around the time that the next patch, or the first patch, is going to come out for set 9. And Gunners have really been the overpowered team composition throughout this first patch on set 9. Zeri just being overtuned as a 4-cost unit, and Tristana reroll also being the overwhelmingly dominant reroll team composition. In fact, right before this game was played, I had done a double-up game with Antisocial Monkey, who specializes in reroll team compositions and has been rerolling for Tristana. And just between us, we kind of hit all of the elements for the Tristana reroll comp, and immediately, I got 3 Tristanas immediately. And then he got 3 Tristanas, and I had 3 Maokais. So I used my initial send to send him 2-star Trist, and then as soon as that cooldown wore off, I sent him a 2-star Maokai. And then as soon as that cooldown wore off, I sent him a 2-star Poppy. And so he just hit all his 3 stars incredibly early, and then we just steamrolled the whole lobby, which was quite amusing, but didn't really make for a great video. So instead, we're gonna watch this one paired together here with Headwinder in a double-up game. Somewhat amusingly, maybe amusing is the wrong word, but back in set 8, for whatever reason, Headwinder and I just could not have success in double-up games. I'm pretty sure it was just a coincidence, but it was really kind of shocking how we were unable to work together in the double-up games. There were stretches where I would have played like 10 double-up games, and I would have top 4s in like 8 out of the top 2s here in the double up mode, but I would have top 2s in like 8 of the 10 games, and the 2 that weren't top 2s were both played with Headwinder. Just crazy stuff like that. Just for whatever reason, we couldn't seem to make it work. But as I said, I do think that was probably just a coincidence more than anything else. So the 2 of us are teamed up here, and we're going to be running this double up game. Okay, so as I said, I didn't really know what I was going to play here in this particular setup. By the way, this initial release patch is still bugged. I'm supposed to get a Vlad augment here, but I don't. The first augment is bugged in double up, and you don't get the legend augment. That's been the case in a bunch of these. I'm looking at these different ones, and eventually I end up taking social distancing. This is the silver version of social distancing. It's similar to the Exiles trait Exiles augment from past sets. Exiles augment would give a shield to units if they didn't stand next to anyone. Social distancing gives some AD and AP to your units if they don't stand next to anyone. And it's currently, I think the silver version is 12% AD and 12% AP if your units don't stand next to anyone. So that is the plan here. By the way, the portal that we got ended up being, I actually ended up being the one selected for the portal, my little legend. The portal for this one is every time you make a completed item, you gain some gold. I believe it starts at 2 gold, or it's either 2 gold or 3 gold. Maybe it's just a flat 3 gold. But yeah, whenever you make a completed item, you gain a small amount of gold. Not a super impactful portal, but it definitely does favor people who are able to play flexibly, make items early on, as opposed to doing what this person I was up against did and had just 3 items components sitting there on the bench. You really don't want to be in a situation where you just have a ton of components sitting around doing nothing, because making the items early, 3 gold, that's pretty significant to get 3 gold early on. Can really help jumpstart your economy in the early rounds. Okay, anyway, so we're trying to figure out what Headwinder is going to play. I didn't have any particular thing in mind, but I decided, you know what, I've got a Trist, I've got a Jinx here. Maybe I'll just play Gunners, and then we'll look to figure it out later. I have not gotten any direction from my team comp so far, but it looks like Headwinder is going to play something that involves potentially Ionia or Challengers, which really pair together in this set. Ionia and Challengers, you tend to play them together because, well, there's a lot of synergy between those traits. The Irelia is Ionia plus Challenger, and Yasuo is also Ionia plus Challenger, so there's a dual synergy there in those 2 traits. And I believe he ends up playing a board that's a mixture of those 2 in this game. That said, this was a silver augment, so it means the overall power level of the augments is lower, and it means you're less likely to see something really crazy in terms of the augments It's not like the prismatic games where the augment is determining a huge amount of what happens. And with the silver augment, it's a little bit less significant. All right, anyway, so there's my 2-star Trist, and there's another Rek'Sai, so I might as well pick that up in the store as well. The other thing that I was thinking here, I was thinking about a Pilt over opener. I was hoping that I could get either a Jace or an Echo to drop here because I have the other pieces for a Pilt over opener. That is, I have Vi for my front line, I have Orianna who I can toss in. You need 3 Pilt over units to play a Pilt over opener. But I do not have that just yet because I would need either Jace or Echo. I would vastly prefer Jace because I'm already playing a Gunner's board and Jace is a Gunner. So we were hoping for that. We were both looking to see if we could find them, but neither of us had the good luck to find any of those early 3-cost Piltover units. So won't be able to play that, at least not early on in this game. Piltover is pretty overtuned here in this initial release version of Set 9. The big issue there is that Piltover just plays into Gunners super easily because you run Jace, who you're going to run on a board anyway, and then you can also run Vi for frontline, and then you just toss in one more unit, which would probably be Orianna early on. Later on becomes Echo, and then eventually will become Heimerdinger, who's a useful unit if you can find him as a 5-cost legendary. But I do not have that in, so can't really talk about Piltover too much. Well, won the first 2 rounds, even though my board was not very strong at all. I had all 1-star units. I did manage to hit Tristana at the end there, but as I said, my board really was not especially strong. So I would not expect to be able to win streak with this board. And if the lobby is letting me win streak with a board like this, that's kind of an indictment of poor team building on the rest of the lobby. So I wish I hadn't lost that round, but because I did lose that round, I get an increased carousel priority, and I'm going to go ahead and take a bow here because bows are very difficult items to get. I could, of course, also try to pair something with that tier. That would, if I make a finished item with that tier, then I would be able to get that 3 gold drop. But I figure it's better to take the bow now while I can because, as I said, bows are in very high demand here early on in this set. One thing that I don't have, though, is I don't have a lot of gold. Even though I did go ahead and get 3 extra gold from making the Sunfire Cape, I'm still pretty poor overall, and that's largely because I have a lot of gold sitting on my board and on my bench in comparison to what you might see in a normal game. Like I have a 2-star Trist, that's 3 gold. I have a 2-star Jinx, that's 6 gold. I have 2 Rek'Sais, that's another 6 gold between the 2 Rek'Sais. And then I have 2 Oriannas and a Trist sitting on my bench. So I was like, all right, well, you know, I might as well. I actually would have gone to level 5 here, but I didn't have any useful units to put in, and I was hoping that I could win this round so I could at least get up to 10 gold. If you can't even get to 10 gold at the end of stage 2-5, that's kind of a bad sign economically. But fortunately, this person's board's pretty weak. And then I decide, you know what, I'll just pick up this Trist, I'll sell the Ori, and pick up Trist, and that way I actually have 5 Tristanas. So again, I'm not deliberately trying to reroll Tristana here, but I might as well pick up extra Trist if I can. About the one thing that's concerning in this lobby is there are 2 players who haven't lost yet. And by the way, there's 6 Tristanas. So I was like, you know what the play is here? The play here is just go ahead and level and put in another Tristana. Just play double Tristanas here because I have 2 2-star Trists. So I think that that's what I end up doing here. Or do I just wait and hold off for another round? Nope, there we go. I was like, all right, we'll just level and play another Trist then because why not? I might as well. Just put, I have 3 different 2-star Gunners in my back line, so this is really a Gunners game so far. My frontline situation is pretty terrible. I've just got the Vi here. I guess I did find a couple of Bastion units, but not a lot. I mean, I guess I could be playing like 1-star Maokai, 1-star Kassadin or something like that, but that's not really notably better than what I already have in here. So yeah, it's a pretty sketchy front line, but I do have a good bit of damage in my back line. All of those Gunners are going to stack up additional AD as they keep auto-attacking. And yeah, 3 different 2-star Gunners this early in the game is an awful lot of damage. The Tristana, of course, will fall off as the game goes on because she's a 1-cost unit, even though she's overtuned in this patch, but she is still a 1-cost unit. And the good news is we were able to interrupt the win streak of one of the 2 players who hadn't lost yet, so that's actually quite nice. Well, since we've got a minion round here and it's early in the set, I'll go ahead and read the trait description for Gunners again, just to let people know. This is a pretty straightforward trait. It's similar to ones that we've seen in past sets. Gunner champions basically stack up AD. Whenever Gunner champions attack, the game bonus attack damage stacks up to 8 times. Currently, Gunner 2 is 7% attack damage per stack. So each time they attack, they get 7% more AD, and then that can go up to 8 stacks, which is up to 56% more AD. after 8 auto attacks. So as you said, get stronger throughout the course of the fight. One of the reasons why, generally speaking, you want to put an IE, Infinity Edge, on your units that have the gunner straight. By the way, I was able to make a Rage Blade there because I got a rod, which is made getting that bow super duper nice. But another reason you want to make Infinity Edge is, by the way, there's 7 Tristana, so holy cow, I'm finding so many Trists here. Anyway, though, so you want to make Infinity Edge because these units naturally stack up a ton of AD, and the nice thing about that is since they innately get AD from their trait anyway, you want that AD to be able to crit. So that's why Infinity Edge is very effective on them in a way that like Deathblade is not terribly effective. They don't really need Deathblade because they already get lots of AD from their trait innately anyway, and all that a Deathblade does is give them more raw AD, which, as mentioned, they already get anyway. So we were able to make use of a send there. Headwinder had found a 2-star Vi, and he just decides to send that over to me, which is quite nice because, as I said, my front line is my biggest issue. And Vi at least gives me a 2-star frontliner, although I still have no tank items on my front line. By the way, he has also found a Zeri already, although he's not planning on playing into Gunners. He's just going to play the Zeri on his board, even without synergies, because why not? 4-cost unit that deals a lot of damage. He might as well just stick that unit on his board and get use of it until he can send it over to me. Headwinder cannot send me the Zeri because you can only send 1, 2, and 3 cost units at the start of the game. So he's going to have to wait until the beginning of stage 4 if he wants to send that to me. All right, now here for the second augment, there's a couple different options here. I'm going to choose Gifts from the Fallen. Your units gain 5% attack damage, ability power, armor, and magic resist. Each time an allied unit dies, gain those stats again. I was looking at different ones, and this one I end up taking. This is quite strong in the augment data that we have. I believe its average placement is around like 4.10, something like that. But it's quite strong because it just gives an awful lot of stats to the rest of your team. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and toss in Warwick right now. I'm going to get a Zaun item, Hextech Exoskeleton, gain armor and magic resistance. Well, I missed part of that. Let me see if I can read the description here. I'm going to go ahead and find that. The Zaun items I definitely do not have memorized yet. So it was the exoskeleton on here. I'm scrolling down the list of all the different items. Exoskeleton, exoskeleton. Here we go. Found it right. Wait. There's all the... Here it is. Hextech Exoskeleton. Gain armor, 33 armor and magic resistance. Every 5 seconds, cleanse all negative effects and heal for 10% of your max health. So gives armor and MR every 5 seconds, shed all negative CC, and heal for 10% of max HP. Now, the person I want to put this on is not actually Warwick. I just have it on him for right now. The plan is to replace him with Urgot later on down the road. But the main thing is this was a Zaun augment that is not especially great. Not especially great for Zeri. And so because it's not great for Zeri, I really want to go to 4 Zaun and play 2 Zaun items. If you get a really good Zaun item for Zeri that's just on 2 Zaun, you might just want to stick on 2 Zaun because there's less benefit to going to 4. But since this item is really for a melee unit, it's not a good item for Zeri. I figure I might as well go to 4 Zaun, see what the 4 Zaun item is. So that the plan there would be find Echo, who I have found here, and then later on down the road, replace Warwick with Urgot, and put that item that I have on Warwick right now, put that on Urgot, because Urgot will actually make very good use of that as a unit that plays up in the front lines. Urgot is, of course, a Deadeye. Urgot is not a gunner, although if I were ever able to get a gunner emblem, Urgot actually makes for a very good gunner, because he scales off of AD. But, I'd have to find that, and that's somewhat unlikely. So, as I said, I have still got the social distancing in, so I'm trying to make sure that my units spread out. I did finally lose a round. As I said, I don't think that my board is especially strong right now. It's, it's okay, but, it's not amazing in terms of board quality. I do have a decent number of 2 stars, but definitely could do better here. All right, well, Headwinder is on a long win streak. I believe he lost the first round of the game, and he hasn't lost since then, so I think he's on a 7-match winning streak or something like that, but his board is definitely a bit stronger than mine right now. I will get next to last pick, so I'm going to have to try to do my best with what I've got here, and I decide I'm just going to go ahead and take this belt, because this is going to make Rek'Sai 2-star. It was either take the Rek'Sai or take the Sejuani. Sejuani would not have been bad at all, but I decided I would rather have the 2-star Rek'Sai along with an item I wanted. And then, by the way, I just hit 2-star Echo, so I was like, oh, okay, well, We'll just go ahead and play that over the Warwick here. We're going to have an item send here, by the way. So this is the gift round that you get in the two-player mode. I'm communicating with Headwinder. I believe I asked him for a component anvil here, if I remember correctly. Oh, no, I asked him for 2 training dummies. That's right. I think I had the option for components, but I ended up taking the 2 training dummies. And the reason why I wanted them is because they are going to synergize with my gifts from the Fallen. Now, I believe, and by the way, I'm going to make use of that belt by making a redemption because I didn't really have much I could do with that tier. I figured redemption would be pretty solid. So anyway, the training dummies, yeah, I believe that you get the benefit of gifts from the Fallen when they die. I'm not 100% sure because this is still early in the set, but I believe that when they die as well, they give my team additional 8, what is it? It's 5% AD and AP, 5 armor, 5 MR. I believe that when they die, the rest of the team gets that benefit. So the good news is by putting more of these units on the board, I get the benefit of gifts from the Fallen. The bad news is social distancing. Yeah, remember I had that social distancing augment? By putting 2 training dummies on the board, it's going to be harder to make use of that. So it's going to be a lot harder to make use of that. And I didn't realize that until after I took it. I was like, oh, so this is really good for one of my augments, but not so good for the other augment. It's going to make this kind of interesting. As far as what to send to Headwinder, I thought he might want the spatula because I believe he's playing into Ionia. And yeah, there he goes. I believe he's going to go ahead and make an Ionia spatula with this because he had a sword. Yeah, the recipe for Ionia is sword plus, or the Ionia spatula is sword plus spatula. And Ionia is one of those vertical traits that gets a lot better if you can make a spatula item out of it. It just makes it much easier to get up to 6 Ionia. Generally, people play 6 Ionia 4 Challenger is the way that people usually play that. In particular, you can put the Ionia emblem on Kaisa, who you would normally want to play as like your main carry in a Challenger's board anyway. You would typically look to play the Kaisa plus the Yasuo as your main carries. But by doing that, you can turn Kaisa into an Ionia unit as well. So she can take advantage of the Ionia's Enlightened benefit while also being a challenger. So like I said, 6 Ionia 4 challenger seems to work pretty well. And it's a lot stronger if you can make the emblem and put it on her. Anyway, so Headwinder did have his big win streak snapped, but then he won the next round. This other team was kind of keeping pace with us as well. This one, the Sir Bryce Reynas, who's on 79 HP. They've been kind of keeping pace with us in the lobby so far, but they did lose a couple of rounds. And there is another team that is win streaking right now, the person Pappy. I can't remember what they were playing in this game, but they're the other person who's win streaking. So as I said, my board does actually have a lot of 2-stars. In fact, every single unit on the board is 2-starred, which is pretty good. We've been using our sends back and forth to try to 2-star some of our units on either board. And I'm about to get a Zeri from Headwinder as soon as that cools down. So I'll be able to go up to 4 gunners here. And by the way, look at this. I get 2 more Vi's. And I actually could have saved Vi's earlier in the game. I probably should have been saving the Vi's that I saw because I would be on like 7 Vi's right now. But anyway, there comes over the send. So I'm going to magnetic remove the items off Trist. I figure I might as well use it because I want to play Trist on my board as well right now. I actually have to play Trist if I want to play 4 gunners because I do not have a Senna yet, which is not surprising. And now I need to get Jace on the board so I can get 4 gunners in there. I actually have 4 Zon in right now. I guess, and the reason why I have that is I'm playing the 4 Zon over the 4 gunners because all of my Zon units are 2-starred. I've got a 2-star Warwick and I have a 2-star Echo, so it makes more sense to play the 4 Zon and hold Jace out of the team comp for now, but I do want to get to level 8 quickly so I can get up to the 4 gunners. So just because all those units are 2-starred, I think it makes more sense to play them over a 1-star Jace in this situation. Now, the counter argument for playing Jace is Jace would actually put Piltover trait in play. So that's an argument for doing that. I could, and in fact, I could argue it probably would make more sense to take out the Trist and just play the Jace to put Piltover in play. So by the way, here's another social distancing. I'm actually going to double up on the social distancing. So now I have both gold and silver social distancing. The silver version is 12%. And by the way, there goes the Yasuo. I'm going to send the Yasuo over to Headwinder. The gold version is 20%. The silver version is 12%. So right now, if my units don't stand next to another unit, they gain 32% AD and 32% AP. That's a lot of AD and AP. That's quite a bit. What is it? The swords, I think, give 10 AD, so that's like 3 swords. And I believe the rods give 10, it's either 10 or 15 AP. Been a while. I might as well look this up because I've got the item table right here. They have tweaked these numbers, by the way, in the past in some of the past sets. The rods, yeah, the rods are 10 AP and the swords are 10 AD. So it's like having triple swords and triple rods on my units. So not bad. Again, as long as they don't stand next to anything, which as you can see, this is going to get tricky as soon as I level up because I'm kind of at the point where I'm running out of room to social distance my units. So that's kind of amusing, but it does also mean by having more units on the board, I do get more advantage of my other augments, my gifts from the Fallen. So I'm just getting a lot of stats right now, like just a ton of stats from my augments and from just having all these units on the board. So I'm kind of just like outstatting my opponents right now. Less so because I'm doing anything amazing on my own. Anyway, there's another Jace in the store, so I'll go ahead and pick that up. But while we have a minute here before the next carousel, I do also want to cover the Zon item that I got from Zeri. So I'm trying to make sure that I can remember what this one is called. This is the one that's a little bit like a guardian angel in some respects from the I can't remember what it's called. I'm trying to find the name of it here. I know which one it was. Here it is. Here it is. I found it. Shimmer Injector. The mod is gain 25% attack speed. The first time you would be reduced to 1 health, increase attack speed by 100%, and heal for 35% of your max health. So the base thing is not that great. Just gain 25% attack speed. I mean, that's nice, but not amazing. But the secondary ability, first time you'd be reduced to 1 health, increase attack speed to 100%, and heal for 35% of your max HP. That's quite nice. It's really good against any kind of assassin play. Of course, this set does not have assassins. It does have rogue units. But it does mean that it's very hard for Zeri just to get instantly wiped in the fights. Because even if she would get to the point where she would die, she would just instantly then heal 35% of her max HP and get a huge attack speed bonus. So this is not one of the best Zon items for Zeri. There are a couple others that are a little bit better. But, I mean, it's not bad. It's certainly a nice one to have. It really does give her some insurance just against getting randomly popped in a fight. It really does give her some protection against that. By the way, I am going to miss the Zeri here. I would have taken Zeri if she was there on Carousel. Another sword would be nice. By the way, I can't actually make Zeeks on this. You might say, take the sword, make a Zeeks, but I can't do that because I'm running social distancing. So that's not a possibility, but instead I will take the glove, and then I will go ahead and just look to make an Infinity Edge here. So there we go. There's an Infinity Edge. There's 3 extra gold. And now I do want to get Jace. Jace is now 2-starred, so I really want to get him on the board. So let's level to 8. And that's going to put the 4 gunners in play. It's also going to put Piltover trait in play, which, by the way, means now I get the T-Hex as well. If you're new to this set and are unfamiliar with what this thing is, now I've got the T-Hex as well. So now my social distancing is really borked because I currently have 11 units on my board. I'm level 8, so I get to play 8 units. Plus I have 2 training dummies. Plus I now have the T-Hex. So I have 11 units on my board. And it is actually not possible to get social distancing benefit for all of them. There's just not enough spaces on the board to get that much. When you have 11 units, they can't all stand when there's nothing next to them. So, yeah, social distancing fail here. Total social distancing fail when it comes to that portion of my augments. But Gifts from the Fallen. Gifts from the Fallen with 11 units on the board. That could potentially be as much as another 50 AD and AP. If 10 units die and Zeri's the only one left alive, she in theory would get additional 10 AD and AP. So the good news is I don't actually care about social distancing benefit on some of these units. I don't really care about the training dummies getting the benefit. That doesn't matter. And I don't really care if the T-Hex gets the benefit either, because the T-Hex has not been stacked up at all. It is a tiny little baby T-Hex, or T-Rex, whatever you want to call it. So it does basically no damage at all. It's kind of just in there to die and give the stats over to the rest of the team. So a pretty funny setup here. As I said, I've got this like clump in the corner of units I do not care about. And then they are not getting the social distancing benefit. But I believe that when they die, they do give their extra AD and AP and armor and MR over to the rest of the team. So yeah, look at Zeri. She's a little 1-star unit, but between the social distancing benefit and when units die getting that benefit, she just has an incredible amount of stats. And she does have 2 good items in the Infinity Edge plus Rage Blade combination. This fight's a little unfortunate. We had this one won, and then the person's partner came over. But you can see in the lobby, one team's already down to 1 HP, and we're in pretty solid shape on health. I am still on a very long win streak, but Headwinder did have his win streak come to a close there. By the way, up to 6 Vi's, 7 Trists, so we are trying to put that together, but a higher priority would be to send another Zeri for Zeri 2-star. So even though I'm not that far off the Trist and not that far off the Sejuani, I would, if I can't find a Zeri naturally, then Headwinder's going to use the next send to get me Zeri 2-star because that is more valuable. All right, I have talked a little bit about the T-Hex. I should talk just briefly about what this does. So this is the effect of the Piltover trait. Piltover is effectively this set's economic trait in the same way that like Mercenaries or Underground was in past sets. Basically, when you put Piltover trait in play, you gain the T-Hex. Every time you lose a combat, the T-Hex gains a charge. Winning releases the charge, granting the T-Hex power based on the amount released. You may also sell the T-Hex if it has any power, resetting the T-Hex and converting its power to loot. Now, the problem is Piltover is really overtuned in this release version of Set 9. It's basically never worth it to sell the T-Hex right now because the economic value you get from selling is nowhere near as good as just playing the darn dinosaur in the first place because it gets incredibly strong if you Lust Streak for a while. It is also bugged in double up mode right now. The thing does not function the way that it is supposed to, in the way that you reinforce the other person's board. I do not know the exact details of how this works, but basically it only counts for a win or a loss if you're over on the other person's board reinforcing. So it's not quite what it's supposed to be in terms of this. So if I lose this round, I believe that I get the charges on the TX, but I believe I'm going to end up winning this round. And yeah, we're able to kill the Gwen and finish off that player because they were on 1 HP, although I think their partner lost as well. By the way, here's a Heimerdinger, so I could officially play Heimer to get Piltover as well. I could theoretically drop the Vi and play Heimer instead, but frontline is kind of my weakness, so I need to keep Vi in the team composition. There's also a Senna in the store as well, so I'm actually out of bench space here, so I need to clear out some bench space. First, the Zeri comes over from Headwinder. He used the send, and now I'm supposed to pick this up. By the way, this is a Tome of Traits that is coming over here, but for some reason I can't seem to pick it up. I don't know why that is. I don't know quite what's going on here, but I'm trying to clear out space. There it goes. All right, so I'm going to pull this. I'm hoping to find a Gunner emblem. I find the Gunner emblem. So I was like, aha, very, very nice. And the problem is I don't really have someone to put this on. Normally I would put this on Urgot, and I mentioned Urgot would be a great person to put the Gunner emblem on, but I haven't found an Urgot the entire game. I have not seen one Urgot pop up in the store so far, so I'm going to put it on Echo, and Echo's really not a good user of this because he deals magic damage, so Gunners, which stacks up additional AP, is not really going to be useful for him. And by the way, I'm going to reforge this. Because I can't really use the Zeeks. This is actually, I think, a mistake. I think I should have just reforged the belt, not the full item. I think I should have just reforged the belt, and then I could have made a sword item for Zeri. It would have been sword plus something, and pretty much anything would have been good there, except another IE. I wouldn't have wanted another IE, but just about anything would have been good. Like Deathblade would be fine, not great, but would be fine. I could like make Edge of Night. I could make Bloodthirster. I guess Spear of Shojin would be kind of wonky as well. But just about anything would have been useful there. So I think I could have done that a little bit better. Anyway, I also went ahead and used a send there or not use a send, sent a gift over to Headwinder. We were trying to see if we could make Yasuo 2-star, and we were able to do so. So I was able to sell the Yasuos that I had been holding for him. Anyway, I'm just going to put the Ionic Spark on a frontliner. As I said, this is really not ideal. This is not kind of the item I want, but it is what it is. We'll make do. So I've got this Senna here. Now, normally you would just take out Trist and play Senna. And in fact, I really should have done that. Senna's a better unit. 1-star Senna is better than 2-star Trist. Should have just done that replacement here. But my goal was just to get to level 9 and then put Senna on the board because Senna will give me 6 Gunners. Unfortunately, I do end up losing this round here to this person, Pappy. They are playing a Sorks board, and they are the strongest one in the lobby right now. We're kind of hoping that their partner will lose a round, and then that'll just get them out of the lobby. 6 Gunners, though, hugely powerful. We'll talk more about that in a second because we got the carousel here. I am going to be next to last pick, so I'm looking to get a final item for Zeri here. It's the most useful thing that I can do, get another item for Zeri. So I'm looking around here. And I'd like to get that Hand of Justice, but it gets snapped up. As soon as I see that, I was like, well, that would have been nice to have, but not possible. I could have also taken the Freljord emblem. That would have put Freljord trait in play. Instead, though, I took the Sejuani because that gives me Sejuani 2-star and a Gargoyle Stone Plate, which is a pretty useful item. Now, I probably should have, what I probably should have done here, I had the extra item remover. I probably should have used the item remover to pop the either the Redemption or the Sunfire off of Sejuani, and then put the Gargoyle Stoneplate on her because that's a better tank item. Probably would have been better to have that on her than the Sunfire. The Sunfire Cape not really doing all that much for me, but oh well, it is what it is. At least losing that round did convert some of the charges onto the T-Hex. So the T-Hex now has 7 charges, by the way. The 3 charges are, I believe, what I can get if I can convert this into a win. So if I win this round, I believe I convert 3 more of these charges. I'm not, again, it gets kind of wonky in double up mode. It doesn't really work the way that it's supposed to in this, but yeah, you have to, basically when you lose, you gain charges, and then when you win, you kind of cash out the charges, and the T-Hex gets, the T-Rex or T-Hex, whatever it is, ends up getting stronger. But it's like, it doesn't function properly when you go over to reinforce your partner's board. By the way, Pappy, that person is really strong. Yeah, they're still win streaking, but their partner lost, so they're out of the game now. And yeah, it looks like this is going to be the end of the, yeah, see, you just converted into additional power there. Well, it looks like it's going to be the end of the game, so I'm just going to go ahead and level to 9 here. I would have waited another round until after the minion round if there was more. But yeah, it doesn't look like I can do that. So my board is so overstuffed with units now. I have 10 units on my board. And by the way, there Urgot finally shows up, but it's a little late for that at this point because we're probably on the final run of the game. Just to finish out the Gunner point, by the way. So I mentioned earlier, Gunners, they gain bonus AD, stacks up to 8 times. Gunners 2 is 7% AD per stack. Well, Gunners 6 is 20% AD per stack. So yeah, 20% per stack, stacks up to 8 times. That's 160 AD if it's fully stacked up. And I'm actually going to right-click on Zeri here so you can see how much AD she gets in this fight. So she's getting AD from the Gunner's trait. She's getting AD from social distancing. She's getting AD from the Gifts from the Fallen. She's going to finish this fight with 320 AD. Yeah, so she just murders everything. I mean, she's already the OP unit in this patch. Already the overpowered unit in this release version. And then I just stacked up 10 billion benefits on her. So I really did just outstat the competition in this game. It wasn't like any brilliant planning on me. I just had augments and a setup that just fed a ridiculous amount of stats over to Zeri. And she won pretty convincingly there in that round. And then Headwinder won with his Ionia Challengers board pretty comfortably as well. So hey, we're gold 4, double up mode's going well, and it's been a lot of fun so far. Well, we're going to have a new patch soon, so we'll see what that brings. Until then, thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed this video. Until next time, hope you guys are having a great week. Take care, and I'll see you again soon.